Major funding for NJTV News is provided in part by RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. NJM Insurance Group, serving the insurance needs of New Jersey residents and businesses for more than 100 years. And Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Tonight on NJTV News, are the burbs bouncing back?
A new study shows cities losing population. Is it a statistical blip, or are we seeing a trend toward re-suburbanization in New Jersey?
Plus, a big chunk of tax dollars is dedicated to easing transportation woes. Is it helping? We've got a budget breakdown. And the push to legalize recreational marijuana in the Garden State. Those stories and more next on NJTV News.
Live from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio at 2 Gateway Center in Newark, this is NJTV News with Mary Alice Williams.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Brianna Venozzi. Mary Alice Williams has the day off. Conventional wisdom says millennials favor renting to buying, slick city landscapes over suburban sprawl. But as this generation ages and begins raising families, where they're choosing to call home could turn that notion on its head. Senior correspondent David Cruz reports on an apparent push back to the burbs.
Remember when suburbia was a 4-letter word? City life is where it was at. Access to transit, outdoor cafes, vibrant street life. Especially over the last decade, the trend was urbanization, led by millennials in places like Jersey City and Hoboken, which saw steady increases in population. But a new report from the Rutgers Blaustein School titled "The Burbs Bounce Back" suggests that may be coming to an end. James Hughes is the study's author.
The absolute growth in the suburban ring that surrounds New York City, that surrounds Union, Hudson, and Essex counties in New Jersey. Their population growth has been double or triple that's taking place in the urbanized core.
The report identifies the urbanized core as the area immediately surrounding New York. In Jersey, that's Hudson, Essex, and Union. The suburban ring includes the dozens or so counties surrounding them, from Sussex to Monmouth. In the period between 2010 and 2016, the region saw a population growth of almost 700,000. 74% of that came from urban areas, roughly 26 from the suburbs. But in 2016, the numbers were flipped. Only 38% of the growth came from cities, and almost 62% came from the suburbs. Hughes points to two factors that might explain the change. One, he says, millennials in their 30s now have less of an aversion to owning cars and property and detached housing.
Second factor is the success of our urban areas, such as the Hudson River waterfront, such as Brooklyn. They've been so successful that prices have been pushed up to astronomical levels. So it's almost an inhibitor now to growth.
But if you're looking for a solid takeaway from the study, you'll want to consider that it looked at data for just 1 year. Hardly a trend, says Tim Evans of NJ Future, a smart growth advocate.
It's something to keep an eye on, whether the demand is growing again in outlying places. But it could also be that the growth in the older, compact, walkable areas is slowing down. It might be because we're not able to add housing supply fast enough to keep up with the demand.
Also, the data show that population in Brooklyn was down in 2016, which will confirm what millennials in Jersey have been saying for a while now. Brooklyn is so over. For NJTV News, I'm David Cruz.
We've now hit 94 straight months of jobs gains nationally, but the pace of hiring still isn't hitting targets. Rhonda Schaffler standing by with details. Rhonda?
Brianna, did the bankruptcy of Toys R Us contribute to today's disappointing report on U.S. job growth? The government reported 157,000 new jobs were created last month, a number that was weaker than expected, with economists looking for job gains closer to 200,000. The unemployment rate did fall to 3.9%. Now, this report includes a decline of 32,000 retail jobs in hobby, toy, and game stores. July marked the first month following the liquidation of all of those stores of Wayne-based Toys R Us. Another retailer, Brookstone, has filed for bankruptcy and is closing its 7 mall stores in New Jersey. Brookstone also has a location at Newark Airport that will remain open. Meantime, a Maryland-based convenience store chain is expanding its footprint in the state. Royal Farms has opened 4 stores in New Jersey in the past 8 months and is opening at least 6 additional locations. Atlantic City's Resorts Casino continues to line up partners for sports betting. The company announced a second deal for online sports betting, this time with the Stars Group. This announcement came one day after Resorts inked a similar deal with fantasy sports company DraftKings. Casinos are allowed to partner with more than one company, and many have been eager to line up deals. The first 2 weeks of sports betting in the state generated over $16 million in wagers, and that was with only a handful of venues offering it at the time. A popular brand of almond milk, Vanilla Almond Breeze, has been recalled because it might contain cow's milk. HP Hood has recalled more than 145,000 cartons that were sent to stores in 28 states, including here in New Jersey. On Wall Street, stocks closed out the week with gains today. The Dow rose 136 points. NJ Transit got a funding boost this year, and there's increased spending for numerous other transportation projects across the state. We got the budget breakdown earlier from NJ Spotlight's John Reitmeyer. John, one of the biggest spending increases in Governor Murphy's budget is for NJ Transit, and it's a pretty hefty increase.
Yeah, so the general fund subsidy that comes right out of the state budget is going from about $140 million all the way up to $380 million, and that's enough money pretty much to build a new Prudential Center here in Newark. And that increase comes, as Governor Murphy would say, after years of flat funding or even underfunding by former Governor Chris Christie. So there's a makeup effect here. And if we think about New Jersey Transit's own operating budget, every dollar that the state brings in eases the pressure on fares. In fact, Murphy has said that riders will not have to face a fare increase in the immediate future.
Which should be a relief given some service issues we've seen.
Yeah, and so some of this new money could address some of these problems. So there's going to increase spending on equipment and on staff, which would go right to some of these issues.
So there's another chunk of state spending beyond NJ Transit, and that's for the Transportation Trust Fund, but that's considered off budget.
That's right. It's about $2 billion that's spent annually from the Transportation Trust Fund, or what's known as the TTF. And this is for capital spending. So we talked about the operating budget. This is for big picture infrastructure. So if we think about the repairing of the Pulaski Skyway, or maybe the expansion of light rail into places like Gloucester County and Bergen County, that's the capital side.
And so where does all that money go specifically?
It's a good question. There's a number of different sources. We have $200 million that comes right out of the state sales tax that would otherwise go into the state budget. Then we've got about $1 billion that comes from gas taxes in New Jersey. And if you remember, those gas taxes were just increased a few years ago. And then the rest will essentially come from borrowing, or when the state issues long-term bonds to finance some of these long-term infrastructure projects.
So about $2 billion in total. How is it divided up?
There's about $1.25 billion that will go to fixing road and bridges and investment in that end. And then there's another almost $750 million that is invested into the rail infrastructure.
Have there not been some issues, though, with use of that TTF money?
Yeah, so the problem for New Jersey over the years has been the credit card for the TTF has basically been abused. Governors and lawmakers from both parties have instead of having the courage to raise taxes at the pump, haven't cut spending, but they've kept up the spending and instead used money from borrowing or even refinancing bonds that had already been issued.
But there's an attempt to change that now.
The new plan for the TTF in fiscal year 2019 includes over $500 million in what's known as pay-as-you-go or pay-go financing. And that's using the money that comes in right away to pay for the projects that are happening right now. And it's relying less on that borrowing. So yeah, that's supposed to change.
And we also get money from the federal government through TTF.
That's right. It's one of those instances where for every dollar, it's an almost dollar for dollar match that the state spends, we get federal dollars. And so that $2 billion becomes almost $4 billion. And another good thing about our TTF spending, if we want to look at it this way, is there are constitutional protections on the revenue that comes in from the state, whether it's that sales tax or gas tax or borrowing, that prevents it from being used for any other purpose. So New Jersey's famous for having budget raids and taking money from one pot and using it for something else. That doesn't happen here.
John Reitmeyer, thanks for that latest budget breakdown.
You're welcome.
After days of canceled trains and nightmare commutes, now New Jersey Transit making this announcement: 2 major service cuts starting next month. A New Jersey Transit spokesperson says the agency will temporarily suspend all off-peak Raritan Valley Line direct trains to and from New York, along with the Atlantic City rail line. This is to continue installation of positive train control equipment on its rail fleet throughout the state. PATCO, though, will cross-honor NJT customers on the Atlantic City line, along with other travel options and discounted fares being offered. Raritan Valley customers will need to transfer at Newark Penn to get to Manhattan. Service on both lines is anticipated to resume in early 2019. On his monthly radio call-in show, Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin today fully endorsed marijuana legalization. Until now, he's been fairly reserved on his stance. Coughlin says his chamber is working on 2 bills to legalize recreational use and expand the state's medical marijuana program. Amid the controversy over publishing blueprints to make 3D guns, Senator Bob Menendez is sponsoring a bill making it illegal. In a Cliffside Park school today, he cited billions spent on airport security that could be undermined if undetectable weapons like these are made widely available.
It doesn't matter if a gun is made from metal, from plastic, or some combination of metal and plastic. If it loads like a gun, if it shoots like a gun, if it kills like a gun, then it must be regulated like a gun.
Starting today, the state is expanding a 3% hotel tax already being collected in certain towns in the Meadowlands region. The tax isn't changing, but the number of hotels it'll be levied on in the district will. As Michael Hill reports, the collected revenue is used in a municipal tax sharing agreement to help even out economic disparity between the towns. But will the new revenue be enough to help?
Beyond this thick greenery in Kearney lie protected and environmentally sensitive marshlands, part of the Meadowlands off limits to builders and developers. It cuts Kearney out of tax revenues it could be collecting from growth and development. To make up for that, Kearney, 13 other towns with land in the Meadowlands, and the state are in a tax sharing agreement. Some towns, largely the ones that can build on their share of that land, send revenue from a 3% hotel room tax to the state, while others, who largely cannot build on it, receive it. Kearney's on the receiving end. Is there any sense of what the towns that are on the receiving end of this, what they're doing with the revenues that are being generated from this tax sharing district?
Well, they're doing with the revenues precisely what one would expect. They're keeping taxes low. They're running effective government.
The revenue collected has fallen short of projections over the years, leaving lawmakers and the governor to scramble to bail out the fund. Assemblyman Scher was a prime sponsor of the bill the governor just signed into law to expand the 3% room tax. It now includes all hotels and motels in all 14 towns of the Meadowlands district.
We believe through expansion of the hotel and motel occupancy tax that indeed we can reach those numbers without having to look to the state for bailout.
The new law expands the geographical reach of taxation within the 14-town Meadowlands district. For instance, this motel behind me in South Hackensack, as of August 1st, must levy a 3% tax for each room it rents. That money goes to the state Treasury Department. South Hackensack's mayor says that tax sharing should include the big tenants of the Meadowlands to ease the burden on small towns.
I've never been in favor of the tax sharing formula from the beginning. Even before this, the tax on the hotels, was used to offset it. We have approximately 0.5% of the land in the Meadowlands district, and yet we were paying 5% of the total tax sharing bill.
The hotel industry disapproves of the expanded tax base. In a statement, it said, tourism used to be the state's second largest industry and is now down to 7th. Why? We aren't the only ones who have a beach, gaming, shopping, etc. If we're going to tax the hotel industry, we should put more money into tourism promotion.
we're still extraordinarily competitive. The differential is minor. The results will be stellar.
NJ Spotlight budget and finance writer John Reitmeyer says mayors of the 14 towns are eager to see how this all works.
From their perspective, they just want the money to make this setup work. And so if it comes from this new tax, then it satisfies their local needs. But I think it will remain to be seen whether this works. And I think if it works, they'll be in favor of it.
The tax sharers will know the results by the end of next June. That's the end of the current fiscal year. In the Meadowlands, Michael Hill, NJTV News.
3 counties under quarantine. That tops tonight's Garden State Express. Our first stop, Warren County. That's where the Department of Agriculture first located that invasive bug called the spotted lanternfly. It's a threat to food and ornamental crops and travels easily because it attaches to objects like vehicles and produce. Well, the pest spread to nearby northern Mercer and Hunterdon counties, and now all 3 are under quarantine to prevent further contamination. That means the state is requiring everyone in those areas to fill out a New Jersey resident's checklist before moving certain items out of county. The list is pretty extensive, including objects like campers and bikes to backpacks and garden tools. The state says infected areas have been treated, but officials will be surveilling and stopping cars traveling across the Delaware and out of those identified counties. Next to Cherry Hill and an unexpected new role for former Governor Jim Florio, advisor to a Colorado-based cannabis edibles company. Nuka Enterprises announcing Florio, through his law firm, will help the company's planned expansion into New Jersey. Adult use recreational marijuana is illegal here, but lawmakers are signaling big changes could happen on that front by end of summer. Attorney General Gurbir Grewal last month asked prosecutors to adjourn marijuana cases until September. Finally, Trenton. We've got a state fruit, a flower, reptile. Now the push for an official state dog. And before you go thinking of your favorite breed, State Senator Anthony Bucco has another idea, the Seeing Eye dog. The headquarters for Seeing Eye is located in Morristown. That's his legislative district. The National Service Organization has trained and matched more than 17,000 visually impaired individuals with service animals since 1929. The ideas come up in the past, but never went anywhere in Trenton. So now, with such pressing issues like the budget behind them, maybe the dog will finally have its day. And that's our Garden State Express for Friday, August 3rd, 2018. Something up in your neighborhood? Tip us off. Despite more than 200 towns settling affordable housing agreements, many more are still grappling with how and when they'll meet their obligations. One prominent Republican lawmaker is calling out his Democratic colleagues, saying he wants the control out of the courts and back in the legislature. Chief political correspondent Michael Aaron sat down with Assemblyman John Bramnick.
Assemblyman, you've held 3 town halls on affordable housing in the past few months. Why that issue?
Because the legislature won't do anything about it. This has been in the courts. The courts have told the legislature, you need to address this issue. They haven't done it. So consequently, you have judges with no experience in planning in communities making determinations of thousands of units going into towns that I represent and all over the state. It's absurd.
Are the judges ordering that housing be built in the suburbs?
Yes. And to be honest with you, they do it pursuant to some formula. It should be done pursuant to policy of the legislature, not dictate of the court.
I sat through a hearing where the issue was pretty well aired out, and you were part of that hearing. Kevin Walsh of Fair Share Housing testified that day that a large part of what this is about is the desire of municipalities to keep minorities out of suburban towns. What's your view on that?
Ridiculous. Every meeting I've had is bipartisan. You have very liberal Democrats at that meeting and conservative Republicans, but they agree on one thing. If you're going to bring 1,000 new units into a community and have thousands of new students in the schools, it has to be done in a reasonable way. And just saying build 1,000 units in a small town is ridiculous. You have to determine where these units should go on a regional basis. No one is trying to exclude anyone. It's about overdevelopment, because they're surely happy to build affordable. How about this one? Affordable housing is not really what's being built. What's being built, or let's say 1,000 units, and of that, maybe 150 or 200 affordable. If the developers are so committed to affordable housing, just build the affordable housing and you won't have an issue with the municipalities. It's the other 800 units which are the problem.
I think the finances don't work for the builder in that case.
Well, I understand, but maybe there needs to be a program where we put affordable housing in, but it's on a limited basis. Because remember, most of these units being built are not affordable. So why doesn't the legislature look at that? I'll tell you why. They're afraid of the issue.
You're saying that the legislature should create something like the Council on Affordable Housing that it created in 1985, and that everyone learned to hate very quickly when COA started imposing quotas on towns all around the state. COA died of its own volition, of its own lack of momentum. What should the legislature do? Well,
first, it should be regional planning, not town by town. So you take a section, Central Jersey, for example, and you say, okay, what is the best place with transportation and infrastructure to put housing? Obviously, you can allot some to different municipalities, but to do it town by town is very difficult, especially by the courts. That's only just one. We used to have regional contribution agreements, meaning that we could transfer some of that responsibility to urban municipalities.
And Assembly Speaker Joe Roberts said this is racist and did away with them because everybody was sending their money to Camden and Newark to build the housing there so they could get out of their obligation in the suburbs.
First, it wasn't all the housing. It was a small percentage of housing. And the urban mayors like the fact that they can rehabilitate certain buildings. The real question is, it shouldn't be in the courts. So my question to the Democratic majority is, why are you leaving in the courts? I'll tell you why. Because I think the suburban legislators and some urban legislators on the Democratic side are afraid of this issue. It's a complicated issue, one they will not address. They'd rather just have the courts do it and ignore it. And that is creating expense, litigation costs, and bad results.
Let me ask you quickly about a couple of other things. Senate President Steve Sweeney has a task force that's supposed to report very shortly looking at the finances of the state. Is that going to have a big impact, or is that going to go the way of many other task force reports?
Well, Steve Sweeney being the president of the Senate, I don't think anyone's going to ignore that report. And I think Steve Sweeney was ahead of the curve when it came to pension reform. He was, before there was a Republican governor, he was on that. His life was threatened. So I think he is somebody who has some common sense solutions. I don't think it'll be ignored. And I don't think Governor Murphy, and at his peril, would ignore what Steve Sweeney's doing.
He just went to Italy the same week Sweeney was supposed to unveil what his package was. But be that as it may, quickly, Bob Hugin, we've learned that the Republican U.S. Senate candidate fought to keep women out of his dining club when he was at Princeton, and even after, when he was the alumni president of the club. How much damage does that do to him as a candidate for Senate?
30, 40 years ago, he was on an issue which I'm sure he regrets, but I'll tell you this. He is a pro-choice, a pro-gay marriage. This is a guy who's, in my judgment, a moderate Republican against a very troubled Democratic senator, Bob Menendez. I would say that the voters are ready for change when it comes to Bob Menendez. I wouldn't worry about Bob Hugin, and he's got the resources to make sure the message gets out. That's good.
Assembly Minority Leader John Brandmeier, thanks very much.
noteworthy facts that help you know Jersey. According to New Jersey Transit data, in June of this year, more than 92% of trains arrived within 6 minutes of their scheduled time. Manufacturing employment rose by 37,000 jobs over the month. New Jersey has more than 3,200 convenience stores, according to the National Association of Convenience Stores, and 4 primary breeds are trained as seeing eye dogs: German Shepherds, Labrador Retrievers, Golden Retrievers, and Lab Golden Crosses. If there's someone who you'd like to get to know Jersey, share. Use #KnowJersey. Next week on NJTV News, has being in the Big Ten paid off for Rutgers? And tonight on NJTV, it's Friday Night Brit Crimes, featuring the Dr. Blake Mysteries and Midsummer Murders. Do you have a favorite place in New Jersey? Advance it through the bracket in our tourism tournament on Facebook. To play, just click on the picture of your pick when it's up for a vote and watch it beat the competition. To share any story you've seen tonight, go to njtvnews.org. I'm Brianna Venozzi. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
The members of the New Jersey Education Association, making public schools great for every child. And PSE&G, we make things work for communities.